Chapter 3. Okay, where is that chick? I was only upstairs for about 45 minutes. I rushed like hell to get down here, and there's nobody here. Julie glanced around the lobby, straining to look inside of the bar. She could see most of the patrons, except for the tables around the back. She hadn't brought the floppy hat down with her, but was still sporting her sunglasses. Tipping them up, she spotted the restaurant in the distant corner of the lobby. Assuming now that she had some time, Julie made her way to the front desk and waited her turn while a young family checked in. I know I've amassed some more charges, and I don't want to be in the red. I'd like to pay for a few more nights and give you some more money toward incidentals, if that's okay. I mean, that is, if my room is still going to be available for the next 2 or 3 days. Julie felt her heart flutter. She never imagined she would be alive in a few days, much less staying at such a posh hotel. Her original plan had been to find a dive somewhere up the East Coast until she figured she deserved to live it up before she died. What if the room isn't available? The clerk looked up from his computer and said, "It'll be the same rate for 2 extra weekdays, ma'am. You still have a small credit on your account, so the total for you for 2 more days would be $487, unless you want to add some more for incidentals." Terrific. Julie rummaged through her purse and found her change purse, in which she had rolled up her bigger bills. She pulled them out and peeled off 7 $100 bills. "Here you go." She handed them over. "That should take care of it. Keep a C note for your trouble." "Thank you, ma'am." It isn't often a desk clerk receives tips, so the young man was more than gracious. "It was my absolute pleasure." Julie barely heard him as she turned to walk toward the center of the lobby. He stuffed a crisp $100 bill in his pocket and immediately recorded the transaction, including the tip, on the computer. "I'm just going to sit still for a little while and see if she shows up. She probably forgot that she invited me anyway. Either that or she thought better of it and intends to leave me out. That's happened before in my life. I remember that feeling. Fuck it. I won't have to deal with that kind of shit much longer anyway." Julie sank back into the couch, getting swallowed up by the plush cushion. Her eye was drawn to the center of the atrium. It was likely the largest phallic stone sculpture she had ever seen. It was sitting in a fountain of some kind, but the water was calm. Or is it phallic? Probably just in my mind. The late afternoon sun must have been reflecting from the bay off a disco ball somewhere, because the lights were dancing all over the lobby. Julie decided that just sitting there was not doing her any good. She dragged herself out of the couch and decided to give herself a tour around the lobby. Stopping at the beauty salon, she had an epiphany. She could change her appearance, and then she could lose the sunglasses and the hat. She walked in and asked if they had time enough before closing to take her. Sitting in the chair facing the mirror, Julie proceeded to tell the stylist, a young, patently gay young man, that she wanted a complete overhaul. She told him she was feeling icky and wanted to pick me up. "Oh, honey, I get it. I've been here since 9 this morning, and I could really use a couple of mojitos right about now." An hour later, Julie emerged from the salon with a short blonde bob cut and a colossal headache. She wasn't sure if it was from the smell of the chemicals or the constant babbling of the stylist. She tipped him well, which shut him up. "Go have some fun down on South Beach tonight." When she turned to leave, she dropped her floppy hat back on her head, which made him groan. Barely out the door, she heard someone calling her name. Shit! Who found me? Julie spun around to see Rachel waving both her arms over her head from across the entire lobby. She was standing at the edge of the restaurant bar. "Julie, we're over here!" Julie was embarrassed to be singled out, especially by name. Forgetting that she didn't look the same, however, she slipped her sunglasses on, making the lobby seem much darker than it was. She acknowledged Rachel and slowly made her way to the bar. Rachel and all 3 of the other women were standing there waiting for her. She must have remembered the stupid hat. "The Uber is coming at 7:30, which gives us an hour and a half for drinking. And it's happy hour." Beth Stein stepped forward from behind the other women. "Hi there, Julie, is it? I didn't get a chance to introduce myself. My name is Beth. What'll you have? I'm buying the first round." Thanks, hi." Julie was taken aback by how open and outgoing these women were. "It's nice to meet you, Beth. You don't have to buy me a drink, but thank you." Julie was contemplating what to order, trying to see if the others already had drinks. Were they into wine, beer, or mixed drinks? I don't want to look like a lush. Of course I do. That's the way we roll. We all vie around. Now, what do you have? Rach? Linda? Deb? White wine for me, volunteered Rachel. You know I have to watch my sugar. Let me just have some Maker's Mark rocks. I need something stiff. Debbie was usually heavy handed, or she was, until her son's problems bubbled up. Since she'd started going to those Al Anon meetings, she's slowed down her drinking a little. Linda stood pensive. I imagine a few beers won't hurt this week. Can you find out what's on tap? You know what I like. Linda had been told that anything she eats or drinks that can be converted to sugar easily will feed any cancers in her body. Even though she's a 3-year breast cancer survivor, she remains vigilant, if not panicked, that it might come back somewhere else in her body. Okay, honey, that leaves you. Their variety of drinks they ordered isn't much help for me in deciding, but then again, it doesn't seem like they'll judge me either. Julie barely raised her head and chimed in. You know, I could use a good stiff drink myself. How about some Canadian Club on the rocks? You got it. Beth disappeared again back toward the bar, which was now 3 people deep all the way around. Happy hour there was a busy place for young downtowners. The in crowd? Was it the new hot spot in downtown Miami? Or was it just the closest and safest bar to hang out around before going home to whatever obligations and misery they had waiting for them? Still standing, with her head tilted slightly down, Julie backed away a bit, receding once again into her own head. Her thoughts returned to the suicide pondering that she had been in the middle of writing when she made the decision to join these strangers for dinner. She had originally planned for this night to be the night when she would finally end her pain and find the answer to that question. What the fuck am I doing down here? Other than spending more money. She began to fidget at her shoulder, only then remembering that her long hair was gone. The reality of that endeavor made her realize that maybe she wasn't in as much of a hurry to complete her mission. Hey, girl, Rachel nudged Julie on the arm. We got a great table in the corner of the bar. And the best thing? She paused and glanced around at her posse. Beth was trying to balance a small tray with all 5 drinks on them. Linda had lifted a bowl of pretzels from the bar. Debbie poked her head in between them, and they all chimed in together. It's close to the restroom! They laughed out loud, almost embarrassing Julie with their heavy, strident snorts and cackles. She always used to judge New Yorkers for being boisterous and outspoken, but these girls were funny. Rachel took Julie by the arm and dragged her through the layers of young people. This was not an easy task, as they were both middle-aged women attempting to stay young. Rachel had recently had a facelift and some liposuction. Her preoccupation with her appearance was evident. Julie thought she wore way too much makeup. Julie wore almost none. When they broke out into the open, Rachel let go of Julie's arm and made a beeline to the table in the corner. Julie followed her, and for the first time that afternoon, picked her head up and walked tall. She glanced at the televisions hanging around the bar and confirmed that they were all on sports channels or music videos, so she felt safer in exposing her face a little. The 3 other members of Rachel's posse found them at the table and, delivering the drinks and pretzels, promptly plopped themselves down on the booth side while Julie and Rachel both sat in 2 chairs with their backs to the door. After a minute or 2 of situating themselves, their purses, their drinks, and their personalities, Julie asked a question. So, tell me again, how do you all know each other? Big mistake, Julie thought, as they all began talking at once. Friends from camp, New York, husband, Little League, chocolate ice cream, cruise. Wait, Julie tried to interrupt them. Please, one at a time if you don't mind. You all have so much energy. The sun took a lot out of me, and I can't absorb you all at once. She laughed and smiled. I don't remember the last time I felt like giggling. As usual, Rachel took over. We all went to camp together in the Berkshires 50 years ago. We all came from the Scarsdale area of New York. We all grew up in and around the same area, and we're all Jewish. We even belong to the same temple. Rachel glanced around the table. These women know more about me than I know about myself. We've lived each other's lives, raised our kids together, reveling through all the good times and holding each other up through all the hard times. And believe me, there have been plenty. As if almost on cue, the 4 women took each other's hands and became suddenly silent. Beth broke away from her grip and reached across the table to take Julie's hand. Julie was stunned. She cocked her head to the side and slowly glimpsed at the faces of the other women. She felt tightness in her chest and tears welling up in her eyes as she sensed their approval. Taking Beth's hand with her right hand, she reached for Rachel's with her left. Rachel nearly grabbed it, saying, "Always room for one more, even if it's only temporary." Julie sat quietly as her four new best friends interacted. She watched intently, trying to learn as much as she could about each one of them. They were all about trying to top each other with questionable jokes, funny stories, and reminiscing about the days when they were young and uninhibited.